Ted, I know that one of your pet projects is finding ways to make 401k type plans available even to small businesses that are not, that don't have access right now. The House a couple of months ago passed this bill called the Secure Act, which among other things would pool small business money together to make it more cost effective to create retirement plans for these small businesses. Does that work for you?
That will be helpful for a segment of the market, definitely. Those where 401k makes sense to have them, and that would ideally probably be 20 to maybe 100 employee market. That opportunity of setting up these multi-employer arrangements can generate some operational efficiencies and hopefully help drive down costs in that market. But when you get down underneath, particularly, let's say 15 employees and less or whatever, 401k doesn't work. It's too complex.
What about these state plans that Oregon, for example, has pioneered in 11 other states or 10 other states are now making it available to companies through the state? Does that work, or does that eliminate some of those complexities you were talking about?
It's a big help.
Yeah.
And Oregon did a great job in terms of creating a pretty well-designed program. Now, in addition, they've done something, in my opinion, it's even more important, and that is mandated. The employers have to have a plan. In Oregon, it's no longer a choice, and that's what is going to be needed. We're 40 years now into 401k being around, and still many workers don't have that opportunity.
If there are criticisms of the 401k, a couple things come to mind. It's too easy to withdraw money. You can borrow from yourself. That's number one. Number two, advice to the employee who has to make the decision of where to put that money. It was taken off of the shoulders of the employer for maybe legal reasons. What do you think about those?
Well, it's become too expensive because of all these different layers of folks who are involved with it. It's got a lot more complicated investment-wise, than what it originally was, and those things concern me. It's one of the reasons I've worked on alternatives. And take example, if I can. I started 2 years ago and working on these new designs for small employers, and at a point where I had 3 of them already worked out, I was approached by a local small employer that has a 401k. And this kind of shows the problem. They asked if I could help out, and when I looked at it, they were able to move to one of the models that I've worked on that are IRA-based, eliminated over $1,500 in employer fees. The cost for participants went from 2.75 to 0.15%. I mean, there's no reason, in that type of situation to have a 401k and participants be paying those kind of fees. It just doesn't make any sense.
So it's been 40 years since the 401k was introduced there. Has it achieved what you wanted to do? I mean, statistics show that Americans still aren't saving enough for retirement right now. And it's, in many cases, too easy to withdraw money out of the 401k plan. And people are pretty much left to their own devices to make investment decisions when maybe they aren't savvy enough to be able to do that. Is the 401k what you hoped it would be today?
It is, in the sense that it's helped accumulate probably somewhere around $15 trillion in retirement savings, which certainly is a big deal. Imagine where we would be without that. But what has happened is it's gotten much more complicated, more difficult for participants to make investment decisions, and expenses have just skyrocketed, particularly in the small employer market, and that part I'm not at all happy about.
So if you could go back to square one and design a 401k plan today, how different would it be? What would it look like now?
Well, if we were designing what we have available today, it would, from an investment point of view, instead of having participants make their decisions, I would structure it so that they're automatically put into prepackaged portfolios that make sense for them. It could be target maturity funds, which some people were highly critical of, but some pre-packaged, and I've done that with some pretty big plans where we have put participants into that type of structure where they don't have to worrying about large cap, small cap, emerging markets,
Right.
all that stuff, and then give the participants who want to still do it their own the opportunity to go out in an unlimited mutual fund window and build their own portfolio. So it gives them more choice than they have now. But when I've done that, 90% of the participants usually end up satisfied that they don't have to run it themselves anymore, that they're in something that makes sense for them. That would be on the investment side. The other things I would do, as you mentioned, money getting away. When people change jobs, I've recommended this. That requires a legislative change, that the money gets locked up. Remove the temptation for a 30-year-old to decide whether I'm going to cash this out or not when I
Right.
change jobs. It ought to stay locked up for retirement.